Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I don't know if this is going to apply to everybody, but maybe if you have teenagers or kids and you travel with them, they want to be able to play their video game systems. My son, we just finished a three-night trip, and it was really great for him that he was able to go online in the evenings and socialize with his friends and keep in touch with them and play video games and do those same things that he does at home. So I'm going to share with you how I did that. When I installed this video game system, I had some requirements in mind. I wanted to make it easy to bring the system out to the van and hook it up, and also remove it and take it back in the house when I'm home. So I don't always carry that TV with me. I like this TV when maybe we're tailgating or we're somewhere and there's a sporting event that's maybe over the air, live streamed, and also for playing video games. Another requirement I had was I want to preserve all the living space. I don't want to have to deal with cabling and adapters and cords, and I just don't want it to be disruptive, and the same goes for the counter. So you can see here I got a super clean setup. You don't see anything on the counter, and I'm going to show you how I accomplish that. So first I'll talk about my TV setup, and then we'll talk about the video game console and then cable management. So I have a 24-inch Roku TV, and I installed this TV by simply resting it on this, it's called a mounted bracket. It's an under cabinet mount. And I install this simply by just hanging the TV from the bracket. This TV is pretty big, and if I actually folded it under the cabinet, I didn't really want to do that because I have a stove over there and it's kind of big and obtrusive, and like I said, I don't always want to take my TV with me. So what I do is I store my TV in a different area, and all I got to do is hang the TV from the mount. So I have this portion of the mount is attached to the TV, and then this is the portion of the mount that is installed under the cabinet. Here I just have my TV laying flat. Normally when I travel, I'll stuff the TV between my gel top and my mattress, and I'll shove it way down under the bed. There's how it looks without the TV on. And you see I have a HDMI cable that is just it's pre-routed and it stays here. It's like a semi-permanent mount or routing for this cable. And this pre-routing of a HDMI cable is one of the things that eliminates a lot of the hassle for me of setting up the TV and taking it down. So I've modified this mount so that I can swivel it so that I can watch TV from the rear of the coach and from the front of the coach. So it's nice to be able to do that. We can sit in our chairs up here and we can watch the TV, or we can be laying in bed at night and watching the TV. So like I said, all I do is I simply lift this TV up and I hang it on this bracket, and that's sufficient, but I usually secure it with one screw. So this screw would normally be in it permanently attached, but I just install one screw so that if somebody bumps the TV, it won't fall off. So when I get to the site, I'll do what I just showed you, and then I'll put that screw in. And then you can see how I made it so I could swivel this TV all the way around and watch it from the back of the coach here. So I'm just gonna hop on the bed here, and that's how it looks from the back. And then you can swivel this all the way forward, and that's how it looks from the front. Okay, so there's my TV setup. Let's talk about the video game system. So I took inspiration for the video game console storage from like an entertainment center, you know, you'll have your video game systems and your DVD player and Blu-rays all before we had our smart TVs and stuff. You would mount your, you know, players in a cabinet and then run the cables through. So what I did here is I have an Xbox Series S here. It's installed right now. And I installed a power strip in this upper corner, and this is just attached with Velcro. This gives me a nice place that I can stick my console. You know, I can put anything I want there. It could be, you know, an Apple TV. It can be, you know, a Nintendo Switch, or it can be this Xbox. And this side of the cabinet is used for that. And I talked about my HDMI cable that's permanently routed, and you can see what I did is if I want to take this out and put it in, I simply power it down, and then I remove the HDMI cable and I unplug it, and this is ready to go. I can take this back in the house at this point. So that's how easy it is to take out my system. And here's that the other end of the HDMI cable that I keep here is just sitting here, and I have power. So right here is where I can insert my other device, and I route that. I drilled a hole in the back of this panel on the back of the cabinet, and I route my HDMI cable through that, and then I come down the front here, and it's hanging right here. So it's super easy. So the routing for the power for this power strip, I did have to cut a pretty sizable hole here to route it through this, and I route it down this. I cut another hole here in this cabinet, and that allows me to plug it in here. Or we talk about how we power things. There's some options you have. So the Winnebago Solis 59PX does not have an inverter, but you do have a generator, and you could run your generator to generate 115 volt AC. You could also plug into shore power, of course. So right now I'm home, I'm plugged into shore power, and I have 115 volt AC at the outlets. So then that means I have power to this power strip. Another thing you can do, which this supports nicely, is you could have your own inverter. So I have a jackery down here, and I could just move that, you know, and set it up on the counter. Say, you know, I'm somewhere and I don't want to run my generator, but I want to play my video games or watch TV, watch a game. I can set my jackery up here on the counter and then plug it into that. So there's some options for powering devices, 115. So, and then let me just show you the reverse. So I'm coming out to the house. From the house, I have my video game system. I have the same thing at the house, right? I have a HDMI cable that might be routed out the back of an entertainment center or a cabinet, and I don't want to go and fish that out every time and unconnect it from my receiver and things like that. So I leave the HDMI cable in the house where it is. I just simply unplug the HDMI cable from the back of my device, and I bring the device with its power cord out to the van, and I set it in place, and I plug in. So I set that in place up there, and I plug in my HDMI here, and I plug in my power here, and it's that easy to have devices. So I had the cabinet closed because I thought it was kind of nice and tidy, but you have to be concerned about cooling and things like that. So it's better to have the cabinet open when you're playing games and running this system, because it does get pretty warm. But at the very least, make sure you have some space around it so that it can cool and you're not blocking any vents. So there's the system reinstalled, and it was super quick. And then I would come over here, and I would plug in my HDMI cable into the back of the TV, and come over on this side. So all I do is plug that in there, and I should be good to go. And of course, for playing online, you got to have a network connection. So what I did on a recent trip is I connected this TV. This is a Roku TV. I connected it to my personal hotspot on my phone. So it worked out really well. We were able to play Rocket League online. All right, guys. Well, there's my TV and video game setup. It's fun doing these mods. Every time I go, I get the benefit of the mods that I created. Here's another one I had just recently done. I put a shelf in my bathroom. It worked out great. I put some underbed lighting. That worked out great. I got my storage for my my chargers and everything. So anyway, as I keep learning stuff, I'll keep passing along. You guys, please subscribe to my channel and make comments, and I'll be happy to talk with you. If you see things or have suggestions, put those in the comments as well. I'll talk to you guys later.